3 years after the crash of Flight 3407 in Clarence Center, Robin Tolsma, who lost her husband Darren and was a big factor in making our skies safer, is now telling her story. She talked to Luke Moretti. Take a listen.
It was a day everything changed for Robin Tolsma.
I didn't know who to be mad at.
She lost her husband Darren when Continental Connection Flight 3407 crashed in Clarence Center on February 12, 2009.
I don't know that there's ever going to be closure because I still to this day feel like he just went missing. You know,
Even today?
Even today.
In her book, Everything Changed, Tolsma details the loss of her husband of 22 years, whom she met on a blind date when she was 17. The book chronicles the struggles she and her 2 children endured, and about the day she tried to take her own life.
Then I thought, you know what, he was the better parent. And I felt very much that my kids got shortchanged, that the smart one was gone, and they were left with me.
All right, Robin Tolsma is joining us now, and a very emotional time. Luke is here, spoke extensively with you. Can I just ask a question right off? How are you and your kids doing?
You know, my kids are doing great. I have to say, and because of them and because they are doing great, I feel I am too.
How old are your kids now?
My daughter will be 20 in a couple of weeks, and my son is 23.
I remember at the time of the crash when we first talked to your family that your son had wanted to follow in your husband's footsteps and be an engineer. Is that right?
Very much, and he is an engineer now.
How about that? Well, what did you come away with talking to Robin?
Well, you know, I've known Robin since this tragedy happened back in 2009, and you know, having covered it for the news and everything else, and the details that slowly started to come out, and of course we traveled to Washington for the National Transportation Safety Board hearings and so forth, and followed that all the way through. Obviously, the family's pushing for aviation safety reforms and them doing business in Washington as well. A couple of things surprised me out of the book. One was, obviously, when you decided that you couldn't take it anymore and you wanted to kind of take your own life and actually made an attempt in doing that. That surprised me because I never saw that in our face-to-face talks and so forth, because you always seemed like you were in control of things and were strong and everything else, but you had a moment where you didn't want to live anymore, and that really surprised me from talking to you over all those years.
And I think, and I told you, I just felt like I was so crumbling on the inside, but I felt like I had to be so strong on the outside, and I so felt that my kids got shortchanged. That their dad, he was the smart one. He did everything right. He did everything perfect. And I'm burning dinners, and firemen are coming to my house because I set off smoke alarms, and I'm forgetting to pay bills and not knowing I had to pay them. And I just felt like I wanted to be him, and I think it was once I realized you can't be him. He was his own person. Just be the person you know you are, and that was just such a turning point day for me.
Could you tell us about your relationship with your husband? You were just talking about the bills. Was he the bill payer? Was he the one? What was it like? And
he was the everything. He, being an engineer, he liked total control. So every bill was paid by him. He liked the laundry folded a certain way, and maybe I'll admit in the beginning I folded it wrong, so I would never have to do it again. But he did everything, the cooking, the outside work. And he never complained. He just wanted to do it all. So when he was gone, everything changed for me. I had to now do everything that he did, and I was just failing at it miserably.
Early on, you even said something about the lawn. He was very meticulous about taking care of the lawn, and you wanted to make sure you were able to do it that way.
Exactly. And he thought the dream job would be taking care of the field at Yankee Stadium. And I thought, he used to Google our house just to see that we had the greenest lawn out of the neighborhood. And now we definitely don't, because I'm in charge of it. So, and I just realized that was important to him. It didn't have to be important to me. So,
we want to talk about the book cover, because I was watching yesterday as well, and I have to see that. Explain what this is, the cover of, and where did you get it, and where did this appear?
The cover is actually a photograph of the window decal that was on my car.
So this was on your car?
And I just went up to it and snapped the picture, and I thought, I'm going to use that as the front cover of the book. And I didn't like it. I didn't think it was crisper, or clear enough. So I said, I'm going to change it. And that's when my daughter said, you can't do that. And I said, why? And she said, there's an angel right here. with her arms out, and the wings are behind her, and you can't change that. And I said, I still want to, I'm going to try. And when I did that, I lost the whole project. Everything inside the book, outside the book, and I'm desperately hitting that back button to try to get everything back, and it wouldn't let me change the cover. So, I went to my mom right off the bat, and I said, Mom, do you see an angel? She goes, absolutely, I do. I think people will see what they want to see, but I will think of it as I have an angel looking over me and saying, okay, at least one that's telling me you did a good job.
I noticed when I was reading the book that at first, and you talk about kind of like a staccato style, you're just putting your thoughts down on paper, because you began journaling right away, right? Soon after this tragedy.
That day,
That
yes.
day.
Did you know you were going to write this?
I didn't. I didn't until I had my back surgery, so I was sidelined for 6 weeks, and that's when I started the first section of the book.
And then as the book goes along, it seems as though your thoughts become more clear, and I can tell that it was sort of a healing process for you personally, just by the read of the book.
And I think that in the beginning you'll see it's almost like I was speaking in phrases and thinking in phrases, and I think anybody who experiences a loss goes through that. Whether it's a sudden loss or it was a long illness, I think that you can never be prepared for death. And my husband's death was of no more or less important than anyone else's. So you all have to go through that grieving process, but in the beginning you're lost. And I think it shows in the writing in the beginning, and then you can see where it turns, where my focus became making Sky safer, to do this for my husband and my kids.
Okay, we have run out of time. This is, you're now on a book tour. You have to get ready for this. Last minute, in 5 seconds, tell us what you're going to do next.
I will be at the Made in America store on April 28th for a very
After
large
the book, what are you going to do?
I'm going to start the second one called Still Changing.
Excellent. Robin Tolsma, thank you so much
Thank
for joining
you.
us. Great job on the story.
Thank you.